In this vulnerable speech, delivered by speaker Salon alum Heidi Ellenberger Jones, you will not only hear a powerful story of personal triumph and overcoming fear, but you'll also learn why taking your time and speaking slowly can be super powerful when delivering emotional content.
When I was pregnant with our first child, people would ask, "Are you going to find out the gender of your baby?" My husband would always say, "No way. This is life's great surprise that you actually want." I love surprises, so I was all in. With both our children, we waited to find out the gender. Call it mother's intuition. I was 2 for 2. In August of 2016, I was on the opposite side of nature's surprises. I found myself sitting with my 48-year-old husband, hearing the doctor say, "I am so sorry. Your husband has a tumor." What? Like, do you mean cancer? I felt like I was going to throw up. When my husband woke up, I was crying by his bedside. It was an out-of-body experience. My head was spinning. I couldn't process the information. I felt so alone. My husband, my confidant, my best friend, has cancer? How could this be? How are we going to tell the children? Are we going to get through this? Maybe they have it all wrong. Maybe it's something else. I felt like the butterflies in my stomach were having a rave. And then the fear set in. My earliest memory of fear is my 6-year-old self calling my brother away at college and crying. I was terrified my parents were going to die. My brother would assure me that everything would be okay. I would cuddle my teddy bear Wally and push that fear down deep inside. Now, 40 years later, that fear came rushing back with my husband's diagnosis of cancer. And I had an epiphany. We'd been living our entire lives in fear. Up until the diagnosis, our fear included, but was not limited to, are kids going to be okay? Are they ever going to move out of the house? Are we enough? Do we do enough? Do we have enough? Are we a good parent, mother, sister, wife, friend, husband? All these perceived fears constantly swirling in our heads. This diagnosis uncovered one of my personal fears, which was death. And for me, death represented being alone. I'm the third child. I'm 10 and 12 years younger than my brother and sister. I'm always odd person out. And now I'd finally found my soulmate. And again, I was afraid I was going to be left alone. Fast forward 10 days with the love, support, and mad research skills of our friends and family. My husband was having a Whipple surgery with the top specialists in the country. The good news is the cancer hadn't spread to the pancreas, and they were able to get everything out. He was clear of cancer. However, cancer is not a one-time event. The next 2 years were marked with him being in and out of the hospital. And in January of 2018, he had an incident which led my daughter to call 911. He was readmitted into the hospital where they conducted tests and the results found 6 lesions in his liver. The good news and bad news about technology is they could see the lesions, but they were too small to do a biopsy. We had to wait from January until March for the lesions to grow. All that worry and fear came rushing back. The butterflies were back and they knew this dance. I asked the oncologist, what do these lesions mean? I had to prepare for fear. She said, "This is not curative. The life expectancy is 2, maybe 5 years." As the day of the scan arrived in March, my husband said to me, "I think we should take 2 separate cars. I have a trip to New York afterwards. I said, okay, yeah. Thought, he's really taking this manifesting your life thing seriously. As we walked into the oncologist, I squeezed his hand, and he said, I fully believe they're not going to find any lesions. I said, I can totally get behind that thought. Butterflies weren't too sure about that. When the oncologist walked in, she said, this just doesn't happen, but your scan is completely clear. She said, I would have called you sooner, but I had to check with my colleagues because I thought maybe I had missed something. All that built up fear and worry came out like a volcano as I hugged and screamed. My husband was clear of cancer. My husband said, I believe that the mind has the power to heal. I could totally get behind that thought, and I was all in. I had invited all this fear and worry for the last 2 years, all for naught. Here we were, not worrying about things that we couldn't control. I believe that the cancer diagnosis is a good surprise that life gives you, because what it did for my husband and I is integral to who we are today and how we parent our children. We savor those moments with our kids, our family, our friends. We don't avoid fear. We don't hide from life. We elevate those relationships that matter and eliminate those that aren't worthy of our time. We choose to step into those opportunities and fears that were our past fears, that were the tap dance that fueled the butterflies from our past fears. It's amazing what happens when you embrace those new opportunities. My husband took a job that he had always wanted. I finally started my own business. I would encourage you to take a look at your fear. Really explore it. Feel it. Acknowledge it and release it. I think what you'll find is the things that we fear most aren't that dangerous after all. As my brother always says, none of us get out of here alive. So I would encourage you to elevate the people that lift you up and the experience, and recognize the joy in the experiences that make you who you are. Life is for living. And when that fear starts to creep back inside, take a hold of those emotions like you are the goddess of your universe and tell those butterflies, get in formation and let them fly. Thank you.
If you have the desire to get on stage and share your powerful story like Heidi did, feel free to apply to speakersalonapplication.com. And let me know what your biggest takeaways from Heidi's talks were. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you have all of the latest videos. I'm so happy that you're here and will always respond to the comments. Big love.